What's up? What's up? What is up? It's another Friday. So you know what we do. We record the Ball Hog Sports Talk. We bring you sports, business, and entertainment, and we do it one way and one way only, rough, rugged, and raw. It is the crew together, all three of us. So you can expect to have some fireworks. The summer season has started. You see, I got on my white hat for those who are watching. Memorial Day weekend was last weekend. Everyone had the barbecues. And we know that this is also track season. So today's episode is going by the title of Photo Finish. But like every week, like every title, it's going to mean more than just a photo finish in track. But it's worth noting that a photo finish is a close finish of a race, which the winner is identifiable only from a photograph taken as the competitors cross the finish line. We like photo finishes. We like close finishes. We like it to be indeterminable by the naked eye because that means you got good competition. And whether it be track, whether it be basketball, whether it be anything that we discussed this week between sports, business, and entertainment, we had a lot of photo finishes. So stay tuned, strap on your seatbelt, and let's get into how this competition played out throughout the week. It's sports, business, entertainment. It's the Ball Hog Sports Talk coming to you this morning. Fasten your seatbelt, and let's go.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke. Cause this is the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B Brown, ESQ, aka the Ball Hog, aka the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're gonna give it to you rough, rugged, and raw. So come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go.
When they say let's go, that's what we do. We gonna G-O. Let's go, baby. Photo finish. The Ball Hog Sports Talk. The crew is in the building. Let's start off in the other time zone, we shall call it, in the Windy City.
In the real time zone, the central time zone. Central is the real. Y'all east, you got to go direction. We central, right? We're in the middle of everything. Y'all need help because y'all can't add and subtract. So we had to start with y'all.
Right on cue from Chicago, talking ish. It is the Big Flow Show.
What's good, America? What's good?
What's good with your Big Flow Show? With your Central Time Zone self, and then we got on the Eastern Time Zone. We got ETP. What's up, Ellis, the producer?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
I'm noticing that more and more. You used to have a variation of hats, but now you got the Celtics hat has become a fixture. And
it's Celtics season.
The Celtics season.
You don't know cream don't go with green, but that's okay.
Yeah,
it's gray, son.
Yeah, man, I'm colorblind. I guess
I'm not loving the fact that I got to see the Celtics season because I'm a Miami Heat fan. We're gonna get into that. I guess we're gonna bury the lead.
What happened to the Heat this year? Did they make the playoffs?
This episode is called Photo Finish. They had a photo finish, Game 7, with a shot that we're gonna talk about. So if anybody wants to hear my take on Jimmy Butler's shot, just stay tuned. But we're gonna get into that a little later. We got to get into some other stuff, man, because we noticed yesterday. I absolutely noticed that the tune has changed when it comes to Britney Griner. Here on the Ball Hog Sports Talk, we have been very adamant. We have been very consistent with saying free Britney. Sometimes when I'm really upset, I end it with another word. I'll go ahead and say it. Free Britney, bitch, because she should be
free
home.
Britney, bitch. Free Britney, James, bitch.
Hold on, man. Hold on.
That's when I get real into it, man.
Who's the bitch in that sentence?
I don't know. Whoever does not want to talk about it.
Just so that everyone knows, he's not referring to Britney.
I'm not referring. I'm definitely not referring to Britney there. I'm telling those
clarity's never. You can never clarify too much.
You're right. Anybody that listen, we have to do more to free Britney, and that has now seemed to be contagious. More people are talking about it. The NBA has embraced the fact that there needs to be a free Britney campaign. Carmelo Anthony in last night's first game in the finals did at least 2 commercials or infomercials that were specific to Britney Griner. There's now a petition that's being circulated that is aimed at getting the White House to make this more urgent. And to date, I think it's roughly 240,000 signatures. on this petition. And so it seems as though, finally, what we've been doing here at the Ball Hawk Sports Talk consistently for the last several months. She has been detained since February. So for the last several months, we have made it our business to say free Britney. It seems like others are joining in the chorus of Free Britney, and the song is getting louder. And hopefully that means that we will be getting some resolution to this sooner than later. I don't know if anyone wanted to comment on it. Like we have really exhausted this conversation over and over again, week in and week out. We think Britney Griner, if you substitute Britney Griner with anyone in almost any other professional sports, there will be an uproar. And she checks the box, if you will, so many unique and underrepresented communities that I thought there would be an uproar. But indeed, there has not. So it's good to see. Go ahead.
I've heard some mixed reviews. So now, we didn't even talk about this in prep, but they're talking about doing a trade. They want to give like a terrorist for Britney. I think that's like a first round, 2 first rounders, and whatever for, I don't know. I don't know if I think we should give up a terrorist. Not a
terrorist, like one of the biggest arms traders in the world. And the joke has been we're going to trade a shooter for a shooter.
For a big. We're going to try to shoot it for a big.
Shoot it for a big.
I hate to make light of it, but I don't know if I really want to give up this dude, man, for Britney. I mean, look, they got to let her go eventually, right? They're probably tired of seeing it. I want her out. I don't want to make too much of a joke. I want her out. I don't want to give up nobody who kills folks for her at some point. You know what I mean?
I think the largest arms trade in the world or something. His impact on how guns get to violent parts of the world. He's like point person number 1. He's John Stockton dishing it out. He's dishing out arms all over the world. So it seems a little.
Maybe a year from now, but I don't know. We got to find somebody else that they want. Do we have anybody else? Somebody who like?
I don't know.
I don't know. Something.
But doesn't it feel good that it's now a mainstream conversation? Because Britney Griner
I don't know if we should try. I've been hearing a lot of mixed reviews from the community. Like it went from not being talked about, the more it's being talked about. I feel like there's more of a lack of support. And again, I'm on the Free Britney train, but a lot of people say, "Look, why you bringing weed over there?" And actually trying to smuggle weed out of the country, which is absolutely silly because it's weed everywhere you want here. So you beat them by
cartridges. They were vape cartridges, but
reefers. I don't care. I'm old. It was reefers. Well, what it was the reefers.
How you get that? How you get reefers in them little cartridges?
So she brought it there. Smoke it all and leave it. Souvenirs. There's got to be some kid over there that really could appreciate it if she left that.
We hope not. We are not.
You know, when you go to the third world countries and stuff, you leave your shoes and stuff for people.
She should have left.
She should have left the weed for some of them little kids over there to smoke or whatever. Hey, let's not act like they're not smoking weed in your neighborhood. Don't be looking at me like that. They smoking weed. That's all they do out here, smoke weed. Somebody would have been happy to get that little weed. She tried to bring it back because she ain't want to. See,
when
the real issue is we're not paying enough.
Are you
the
talking about
WNBA ain't paying enough. Where some professional athlete has to try to. She can't leave her status.
Sell weed in Russia?
She tried to go to weed, sell the weed in Russia. She come back. She felt like she had to smuggle cartridges back here because they're not paying enough. That's the real.
I feel like that community has swayed you a bit. You were on the Free Britney train, but if I'm listening closely,
I still want her free. But sometimes, you know what? It threw me off when we started talking about trading terrorists for her. I don't know if we trade terrorists for her. Come on now. Are they being mean to her up there? I know she's in there. She probably not getting all.
You think the detention itself is not mean enough? You want to make sure that her accommodations.
Did they let her smoke? Were they letting her smoke in there? Have you heard any reports about that?
I don't know. Great question. Big Flow Show. Look, man, you about to convince me that you ain't on the Britney train no more, man. Come on, man. I know Black Twitter has abused this topic, but now she's a black woman. She's a member of the LGBTQ community. She's a member of the elite basketball community. The woman won the, do they still call it Naismith? I don't know what they call the best player in women's college basketball. The Naismith player as well. She won that award.
That's
essentially the Heisman of basketball. And yet there has been very little discussion. She has been detained since I think like February 17th or 12th, something, a long time. And then Black Twitter is taking her to task, saying she was dumb for taking the hashish, trying to take the hashish out of the country. ETP, I'll give you the last word on it because it seems as though there has been a 180 shift. Everyone's talking about it now. It's a little more mainstream of a conversation. Does this mean she's coming home, or does this mean that Russia, Putin, and the people who make decisions over there feel as though they really can get a terrorist, an arms trader, in exchange for Britney Griner, and it just become more of a political debacle, if you will?
Yeah, I mean it's terrible timing for her. Just she got caught with this, or allegedly, or whatever the situation is, and then a war pops off. So it's unfortunate. I mean the thing for me that's crazy is more just that it was like, don't say anything, don't make it Russia angry, nobody's mentioned it, and that I think has been the biggest issue. But the thing about it is she's been there for almost 4 months. And now, I mean, she's still got, I think, 2 or 3 weeks because her trial got continued or delayed. So I think
her trial.
Yeah. But I mean, it's crazy. It's all crazy. She could be actually looking at 10 years. Like the idea of her coming home or bringing her home and saying that she's wrongfully detained, it is questionable, because if the laws are what they are, it's just crazy that you could get 10 years for weed anywhere in the world in today's day and age. I could go to a store not more than a few miles from my house and buy some weed. I can grow weed in my house.
It's been like that though. I mean, think of Amsterdam. You could smoke weed forever, and there's so many brothers locked up for possession of weed right now. So it's you gotta fight. I don't know. I feel bad. I want her home. I started.
But 10 years, 10 years for a cartridge.
We just can't trade a terrorist for her. I can't do it.
Big
All
Flo,
these people start getting killed and stuff. Be like, bro, Britney's home.
You got off the Britney train. Big Flo, you was on the train with us. You got off.
I'm not saying I don't want her home. I'm just saying we can't give up this arms dealer for her.
So that's your biggest gripe.
Yeah, I do want her home. I think, you know what? I think sometimes if we talk about it too much, we up in her trade value. Because until we start talking about it, they weren't trying to get no draft picks for that. They was just doing it for some cash considerations probably. But now all of a sudden they're looking like, hold on. They actually like this chick. Let's see if we can't get us a couple draft picks out of the deal. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, I hope that she comes home soon.
You want to give up the terrorist?
I don't want to give up that terrorist, no. I might give up a terrorist, but someone that has literally been the arms dealer for the entire underworld, no.
A drunken disorderly, a Russian. We got to have at least one Russian is arrested for a drunken disorderly. We'll give him up.
It's sad, though, because it is lose-lose. If we don't talk about it, our government continues on, and we've got several issues to deal with. It seems like every other week there's some mass atrocity by way of gun violence here, and the senators are focusing on whether or not there are going to be any reforms in terms of how we allow people to access guns. So that's topic number one. And meanwhile, as topic number one continues to change, Britney Griner is still detained. So the more we talk about it, you're right, the more it becomes center stage, and the more it becomes center stage, the more the trade value goes up. So I don't know. We can leave it there, but
it's not changing anything if we don't talk about it. She's detained indefinitely, and then she maybe serves 10 years. If we do talk about it, then we decline offering up a trade for a convicted arms dealer, and she stays and is detained and maybe does 10 years. Like, what's the difference?
I can't answer that. I'm still on the Britney train. We got to ask one of the defectors. The Big Flo show. What's the difference?
I just feel like maybe if we stop talking about it, they're gonna let her go because she probably, you know what I mean? Like, it becomes no big deal.
Remind me, if I ever go to jail, remind me, don't use my phone call for the Big Flo show. I feel like you shouldn't have did it. You shouldn't have did that.
You
get no t-shirts. Big Flo.
Straight
No,
up.
no free B Brown
You
t-shirt.
gonna hit me with the man? You knew you wasn't supposed to do that. I don't
Hey,
need that. I
you
don't
know,
need that speech
I'll
right
put
now.
some on your books though.
You got.
You think
I'll
you
take
could,
that.
maybe? Hey, you think they got books in in Russia? We
I
can put
think
on
if
our
they
books?
got books,
They gotta have commissary.
The CEOs are using all that money in Russia.
You
Everything
don't
is
get
crooked.
none of it, huh?
Well,
You
she's getting emails.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, yes, you could put something on her books right
Yeah,
there.
please do. Please do. Make sure it's our currency. Make sure it's ruble.
She don't see shit.
Look, man, we make light of it because there's nothing we can do about it. I am not a defector. I don't know if ETP is. I'm absolutely certain that the Big Flo Show is gone. He's off that train. Britney, do not write or call the Big Flo Show because he ain't responding.
I signed the petition.
You signed a petition. I will take that.
Heart.
You signed a petition.
In my heart.
Well, let's get Britney Griner home, y'all.
Yeah, he's definitely lying.
I swear ETP was going to ask a question about how what did the petition look like?
What did it look like? Which line did you sign?
I think I put my name inside of it. It was
you signed it in spirit.
You signed it as B Brown.
Right, straight up. Just in case somebody's watching.
Oh,
I'm going to sign your name.
Let's
hop into some other WNBA stuff because Britney Griner is missing games. That's the least of her worries. The WNBA season continues. And now there's conversation that the WNBA rather, is going to expand by 2 teams. And by 2024, they're expected to have 2 teams. Obviously, create the balance between the 2 different conferences. You got to expand by 2 teams. The cities that are in contention are, drum roll please, we have Philadelphia, Toronto, Portland, Nashville, Oakland, and San Fran. Any city that you think would be particularly perfect for another WNBA team out of those 6? Philly, Toronto, Portland, Nashville, Oakland, and San Fran. I think Nashville, you erase it right off the bat just because of the conservative nature. I know Nashville is the liberal part of that state, but, and considered a music place and all that, but I don't think of Tennessee as being a very open state and sort of.
I think Portland is perfect.
Portland, I say San Fran is perfect.
I say Oakland and Toronto. East
Oakland,
and West.
Toronto.
Is Canada pretty liberal in general?
Yes,
relatively. But they got Drake, son. They got Drake.
They got Drake. But
Drake
Portland,
makes magic.
I saw a special. They have this sports bar that only plays women's sports. I thought that was kind of interesting. Cool.
I can't remember. Where's that at?
It's in Portland, Oregon, and there's
Portland's got to be number 1 on the list. I've never heard that. A sports bar that only plays women's sports.
I can't remember what it was, but it was cool. It was just an all-women sports bar. Frequented mostly by women, but at the same time, I'm sure men are going there too. But I just thought it's a great idea. So Portland probably would be perfect place for it.
I was surprised that Miami's not on the list because Miami had a team at one point, but we struggle enough fielding the teams that we have. People have other things to do. They on South Beach. They got letting their feet air out with their little designer V-necks. They ain't messing with no sports like that. And to add another sport that's already trying to very, very aggressively trying to bring in new fans. I don't know if Miami be the place for it. I was disappointed to see Miami wasn't on the list.
Well, you ruined it the first time. You don't get a second shot.
There.
You can't keep the team in operation. I think Oakland is a good opportunity because Golden State got moved out of the Oakland over to San Francisco. Obviously, Dub Nation, super committed fan base, and it's on the West Coast, so they could use another team there. And then, like I said, Toronto, Drake will promote everything and anything. So I think that's a good opportunity. Philly could be a good one. Philly's a good basketball town, but
Philly tomatoes.
It's a small market.
If they lose.
What's that?
Philly's mean people. They'll throw tomatoes at the women if they lose games.
Hey, that's what we want. We want equality, baby. Every athlete's got to undergo that in Philly. Home, away, it don't matter. They throwing tomatoes at everybody. Refs, fans in the front row. Philly fans are equally crazy. So I think I'm taking Nashville off. Any of the 5 other cities seems to make sense for me.
Fair.
The WNBA is not the only organization, not the only business that's thinking about expansion. The NBA is as well. The 2 cities that have been targeted as the expansion opportunities are Seattle and no surprise whatsoever, Las Vegas. And we hear that the same week that we hear Phil Knight offered $2 billion to buy the Portland Trailblazers. And Portland said they're not for sale. If you offer me $2 billion, if it wasn't for sale prior to you offering me $2 billion, it's gonna be for sale. That $2 billion for an NBA franchise that hasn't won in a long
$2 billion
time
for anything. Whatever you want. $2 billion you sold.
Sold. $2 billion sold. You couldn't even get the rest of the world out. The word out. You said $2 billion, and I saw that you were forming your lips to say billion. So that I gotta sell it, man. But Portland obviously is not for sale.
Who owns the team now?
The Microsoft gentleman passed away, so I don't know.
So he had to leave it to somebody. Means. So their bread is so fine, it doesn't matter. Because you got to have a lot of bread for someone to say $2 billion. You're like not interested. Like who's not interested in $2 billion?
Portland remains not for sale. Was the response to that $2 billion offer? Portland
it's
remains
in a trust
not
now. Yeah.
So
it's in a trust. I gotta find Ancestry.com, see if there's any lineage I could put something. You know what I mean?
If you got any shred of,
hey, they say I got something in me. I don't know. I got run it again. Let's
run
see.
that back. There is an NBA player that could possibly be in contention because for the first time ever, we have an active athlete still playing, still doing his thing, still putting up numbers. We have an active athlete that has been deemed a billionaire. None other than LeBron James. LeBron James has been deemed a billionaire while still playing ball. So arguably he could be in talks to go buy the Trailblazers. Lakers might be a little too expensive. He might want to stick to Sacramento, Portland for $1 billion. To be a billionaire, he could be in the running. But shout out to LeBron James, man. Here on the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, where I, B Brown ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hawk, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration, a.k.a. Breezy, have taken personal shots, have been a self-proclaimed hater at times of LeBron James. How dare I not give props to this black man?
You know what makes this...
Go ahead, brother.
No, I was going to say, you know what makes this even more impressive? Because it's not like he's been the highest paid athlete in salary for this period of time. You know, you got Messi, Ronaldo, like soccer players that are getting deals, like crazy deals. And they got, I think Messi's maybe worth like 600 million. Ronaldo probably a little bit less than that. So it just goes to show his business acumen and his ability to operate outside of sports to be able to be a billionaire. Because it's not just coming from the salary that he's making in the NBA. Granted, that's a lot of money, but in comparison, you know, what they're getting over, you know, in Europe for your global football or soccer is no comparison. So it's really a testament to how he's built his entire business portfolio on the through the momentum of his, you know, his athlete brand.
Agreed. Here on the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, where we absolutely bring together sports, business, entertainment. Sports, business, entertainment, this is where they collide. We have to tip our hat to someone that has shown the business chops, the business prowess, the business acumen to take what he has made with the respective teams. Yes, he's played with a lot of them. I say that as a hater. Yes, he should have stayed in Miami. I say that as a hater. But yes, he's also been able to turn that into wealth. And I say that as someone who acknowledges just how exceptional that is. First ever active athlete, professional athlete to be deemed a billionaire. Shout out to LeBron James, man, for representing, to not only represent as a family man and being sort of a perfect example of what it means to be focused, man, grounded, solid. He's been a family man since he came in. At 18 years old, he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. He had the expectations that were out of this universe, and yet he delivered on all of them and continues to deliver on all of them. So as a LeBron hater at times, I also have to acknowledge that he has been an exemplary model of what it means to not only to build a family, but to build real wealth, man. So shout out to him, man, as a billionaire. And I know y'all gonna call me on it eventually because I do go into my LeBron hater rants. But in this episode of Photo Finish, man, there is no photo finish when it comes to his success, man. It's a very clear undergoing that he has taken, and he's been able to do it. And shout out to him, man. Respect to him. I would be remiss if I didn't at this point ask everyone, please like, comment, share. Please like, please comment, please share, please tag a friend, please tag a foe, please tag anybody that you know, and please subscribe to both our YouTube channel and to the podcast. That's right. We're asking all of those. None of that's going to cost you no money. Most of it's only going to cost you about 3 or 4 seconds, but it will have an impact on what we do, and you'd be helping us. So we ask you kindly to like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone that you know, and please subscribe. All right, let's hop into some other NBA news, man, because LeBron being a billionaire is big news, especially on the Ball Hog Sports Talk where sports, business, and entertainment collide. That is big news. A billionaire. You can call him whatever as long as you end it with billionaire. So every time I'm hating on him, I say, look, man, you a flip-flopper billionaire. I can't believe you keep chasing championship billionaire. You shouldn't have left the Miami Heat billionaire. You're getting old and your hairline is all the way back billionaire. Whatever you call LeBron, make sure you end it with billionaire. He deserves that type of respect.
I love how you were able to get all that off your chest and insult him by trying to compliment him. That was clever.
Like I did that.
Yeah, you unloaded.
At the same time,
the clip.
you not only insulted him, but you also gave his response to you about why he gives a shit about
right. You just had a conversation with yourself.
Yeah, like
that actually should be his answer. He should go on an interview and they start asking tough questions. Just say billionaire.
Billionaire with a B.
You feel this hurt your legacy? Billionaire. You feel it?
Yeah, hey, LeBron, why didn't you take that shot? Billionaire. Yes, I agree with you. Because there's some things you just ain't gonna be bothered with little measly thousandaires. I'm a thousandaire. So,
I'm a multi-hundredaire.
Right.
But that's how you know there's a long way to go with hair technology, because he's got enough money that if there's availability to figure out your wig, it'd be done. So
I would sell in mine.
There's a market opportunity.
But Nick Wright did it. Nick Wright got a whole full head of hair. Nick Wright was
so it's not how much money you have. I guess it's who you know.
Nick Wright got an off season. He sure did get a lot of hair, didn't he?
Nick Wright got a lot of hair. Obnoxiously amount of hair. He got, like Dion got his plugs and he just got his hairline back. Nick Wright got a afro, like
Nick had me believing to
be honest with you, he always got a lion's mane.
Decided not to.
That's annoying. I'm like, bro, that's too much. You went too far.
Nope. If I was to get plugs, I'm growing dreads. No doubt. I'm not. Why would I stop at a regular haircut like these mortals?
Look, we said with all these Brazilian butt lifts, at some point it's too far. Nick Wright shouldn't have a man bush. That man got a whole afro now. You can't go from that where you were to where you are. And like, come on, bro. Like, at least make it believable. Make it credible, dog. That's all I'm saying.
Own it. No, I love him. Hats off to Nick Wright. Own it, dog. Don't try to be subtle and like, oh, he ain't gonna notice I got this hairline. Nope. Dreads. What'd you do? I bought it. It's hot, ain't it? Sooner or later they'll forget what he looked like.
Hey, look, I forget sometimes. I'm watching Nick Wright. Like,
being spoken like a true bald headed.
That's not his hair. What am I talking about? That ain't his hair.
Being bald headed, talking about where you'd rather be. Don't say that when you don't have choices, Bibb. And I'm on your same club, but you can't. Scott Bibb said, I'd rather be bald with money than hairy and broke. But you bald, you don't really have a vote. We can't say that. You can't speak up what you That's
I guess, man. But I will say this with LeBron, whether or not he has a hairline, and I did hate while trying to compliment, in all seriousness, respect to that brother, man, because it's hard. It's hard to navigate the normal challenges of being a professional athlete. You multiply that infinitely when you talk about the pressure put on his back. It's hard to navigate the business deals and making the right moves and concessions, not only to get what you're worth from a market value, but make sure there's enough money out there to build a competitive team. He's done that several times. And then to be able to take that income that the teams are paying you and turn that into wealth and turn that into real business development is even harder. And in all three levels, he's been able to do it. So while I'm going to hate just because he's not a Miami Heat player anymore, and he hurt my heart by leaving, so I'm going to hate, I'm also going to support, I'm also going to celebrate what he was able to do, man. So shout out to LeBron for being the first active athlete to be deemed a billionaire with a capital B. Shout out to you, big dog. Keep doing your thing, man. And if you ever want to loan somebody some money, I'll figure out how we can do it, and I'll take it. The NBA playoffs, because LeBron happens not to be there anymore. Still hating. See how I did that? LeBron happens not to be there anymore, but there are two teams.
He's busy
left.
counting his money.
He's busy counting that money. I ain't in the playoffs, billionaire. But there are two teams that are left, and then there were two. Before we get into the finals, because game one was last night, let's take a step back and talk about the Eastern Conference Finals, because there was a game 7. The two most beautiful words in all of sports. Game 7. There was a game 7. And we last had this discussion on a Friday when game 6, Miami Heat were in a must-win. They had to go to Boston and win, and they did that. And great game 6. Things that legends are made of from a resilient standpoint and being able to bounce back and fight and earn a game 7 in Miami. But if you look at game 6 and game 7, and I talked about that series being an old school Eastern Conference series, it was a reminder of what used to be. And both teams, I humbly believe, both teams did exactly what I thought they were going to do. They both showed out. In terms of toughness, it was a defensive of series. In terms of a big player stepping up in big moments, whether it be Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown with the Celtics or whether it be Jimmy Buckets with the Miami Heat, they did that. Both teams deciding that they will not be backed in the corner. They were going to come out fighting. They did that. In both game 6, Miami Heat had to do it in Boston. And game 7, the Boston Celtics had to do it with the weight of the world against them in Miami. There's been a lot of discussion about how the series ended, but Miami went on a run. For those who did not watch it, they went on a run in game 7 and were poised to take the lead. And about 17 seconds left. They're in transition after a good defensive stop. Miami makes a good defensive stop, and they're in transition. And Jimmy Butler, down by 2, after making quite a – or were they down by 1 or down by 2? They were down by 2. They're down by 2, yep. Down by 2 after making quite a run. Jimmy Buckets decides in transition with Al Horford retreating to defend the basket, he decides to pull up for a three-pointer. It's been that shot that has been analyzed over and over again, and it's that shot that I wanted to bring here to the Ball Hog Sports Talk and see what you guys thought about it. In this episode of the photo finish, it's exactly what it was, the photo finish. Not only the fact that they made the game 7, but with that run and with that shot, you know, if he makes that shot, we're talking about now. Granted, Boston had enough time to get the ball, and we could see, you know, hypothetically, who knows what they would have done with that possession. But with that shot, Jimmy Buckets goes into a whole different category, the upper echelon of PTP, primetime players, the upper echelon of big shots and big moments by big time players. But yet he missed it. The analysis has been whether or not he should have gone to the basket and tried to draw a foul, get an and one, or chosen some other more conventional, more conservative approach to that moment. And as a Miami Heat fan, I say, hell to the no. I want my star player who, but for Jimmy Butler, but for Jimmy Buckets, we're not in that position. But for Jimmy Buckets, we don't make that run. But for Jimmy Buckets, who played all but 2 minutes in game 6 and game 7, but for Jimmy Buckets, we're not in the conversation in game 7. I want that guy to shoot the ball. And I'm okay with him missing it. I'm not okay with him not taking it. Am I wrong? People all week, and I posted this on my social media, some said that they've been more conventional. Yeah, but. Am I wrong? And I said something to the effect that average people have spent the entire day analyzing that shot because, on average, people spend their lives afraid to take the big shot. We spend our lives trying to stay within status quo. We spend our lives really fighting towards mediocrity. Is Jimmy Bucket's shot irresponsible or an example of how big timers, whether it be a basketball player, football player, whether it be in business, big timers take big risks? What say you, gentlemen?
I think Jimmy Butler had an amazing series, except for 2 games where he definitely checked out. But the last 2 games, I mean, he carried that team. So he earned the right to make or take any shot. So I'm not going to fault him for taking a shot, but I'm going to objectively look at it and say it was the wrong decision. Now, even if he makes the shot, he's not automatically the hero. I think there was like 17, 18 seconds on the clock. They would have been up 1, and basically Boston holds for the last shot, possibly just wins the game anyway. So, and you're talking about Jimmy Butler shooting 23% from 3. You're talking about Jimmy Butler, who is the master of going to the bucket strong and getting an and one in any situation. So he earned the right as a bona fide star, the leader of that team, the whole team in franchise lives and dies with his performance. So he earned the right to take the shot, and you can't fault him for taking the shot, but it wasn't a buzzer beater. It wasn't a dagger. So even if he hits the shot, they have to defend on the other end because they're only up 1. So in terms of the scenario, I'd live with it, because if you don't live with it, then you're not accepting that he got you that far. But
right.
It was a bad shot. There was time on the clock. It's not his, he's not Steph Curry, and it was rushed. So set up a play and try to get it done, because it wasn't gonna put the game out of reach, and there was enough time on the clock.
Big Flow Show, I'm going to you, and let me know what you think. Obviously, ETP and I kind of disagree on this one, and that's okay. So I guess you're going to be the tiebreaker. What do you think? I know you got a little bit of bias, because every time somebody leaves the Chicago Bulls, they end up being a great player. Like, they didn't call him Jimmy Buckets when he played for Chicago. They called him by his real name.
Don't do that. So now y'all made him?
Yeah. Hey, look.
You don't. The only nickname he got there is Jimmy can't make the 3 at the end of the game. That's the only one that he got down there. He was Jimmy Buckets. He was every bit of all that shit he learned in Chicago. He learned all that in Chicago.
Well, that's how he got
all that. Okay, he went down there. We done gave y'all some, and now y'all taking the nickname too.
You think he takes heat?
Absolutely the wrong shot. I mean, you got time on the clock. You're in a tight game like that. You just too much theatrics. I think he got caught up in the fact in Chicago he would have drove to the hole, because that's how we do in Chicago. We drive to the hole, right? Now you're in South Beach. You want to come up there. You're looking sexy. You don't want nobody touching him. You want to just stop with all that, man. Blue collar, drive to the hole. Too much time left. You drive. I don't know how much was on the shot clock. How bad was the shot clock? I don't remember.
When he shot the shot, it was like 18 seconds.
Yeah.
On the shot clock?
There was no shot clock.
It might have been
about
18
seconds.
It was a transition.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible like this. So you're taking a 3 with all the time. Like you said, I had to go with ETP on this. I mean, all that time left, dribble around, if you're going to do a 3 like that, leave it to be the end of the game. Don't throw up the shot unless he thought they were going to get the board. I don't know. I got to check the stats. What they're doing on offensive rebound in that game. But I'm driving to the cup and scoring, but I'm not doing it with that much time left, because even if you do that, you tie it up and you get a foul. There's too much time left. I think it's a mistake. Too much.
See, I'm shocked. Now, these 2 brothers that you are seeing, let me just lay the foundation for y'all, Ball Hawk Sports Talk family. The 2 gentlemen that you are witnessing.
Don't disrespect me.
That you are seeing, if you're watching us live, these 2 gentlemen have made major business moves and major moves in education and with their lives, and now they want Jimmy Buckets to play it safe. Didn't you hear us say that there is no ever
play it smart? No, different S word. Smart.
Same thing. Those are in
same
that
thing. Safe, smart.
Those are synonyms. Safe and smart are the same in that situation.
Disagree. Totally disagree. How is that?
He doesn't.
There's only one
You have too
active
many
player
degrees to believe
that
that that's
is
true.
active athlete that has been deemed a billionaire. You can't play it smart and become a billionaire. The same thing is true on that court. You can't play it safe and play it smart and be considered the upper echelon, one of the best ever. Our basketball history, the NBA, how we discuss it in barbershops across the world, for those of us who still go to barbershops. That was for you, Big Flo.
Pause.
Yeah.
Unpause.
For those of us who still go to barbershops and have these arguments, our barbershop conversations hinged on moments by players that featured the wrong basketball decision, but they had the nerve, I'll put it in a PG-13 space, they had the nerve to take the shot. Jimmy Buckets had the nerve to take the shot. We need more of that in America. We need to stop working towards mediocrity. Jimmy Buckets on the day before Memorial Day was an American legend by taking that shot. He just happened to miss it.
But it wasn't. That
Now
was
he's a
not the
fisherman.
shot. Yeah, exactly.
He's a fisherman. Now he's trying to get on the angling tour. What are you doing? So all I'm saying, that shot was definitely not the shot, the decision of a future billionaire. That was more of a shot. What's my man's name that played with LeBron in Cleveland and didn't go up for the shot? He thought it was winning.
J.R. Smith.
That was a J.R. Smith move. You shooting 25% from 3-point line that game. You've been dead all day. You decide to do a heat check with a game on the line of 17 seconds. It's 25% from the field. You knew you weren't gonna make that shot.
With you guys, I'm not as mad. It's the Miami Heat fans that I'm not loving now. Throwing that man under the bus. You should have never took that shot. Shut up.
Well, that's why you got to live with it, because you don't get a chance to live or die with that shot without everything that he did to get them there. So he built it up. He can destroy it. So you can't, if you fault him for that, then you're taking away the credit that he got you there. So it is what it is.
You know what, though? I got the outcome that I was looking for because I ain't want them to win. So I'm glad he took the shot.
You know what? That's Hater Nation. Look, I said it.
They're lucky they even got that close.
You ought to rewind the tape, play the tape. I predicted when the playoffs started who would be in the championship. And so they're there because I predicted it. And that's why he made the bad shot, because of me.
I predicted that Miami would win, and I was wrong. So as a sportsman that I am, I congratulate ETP and the Celtics world for winning Game 7, for coming out on top of the photo finish and advancing to the finals. I tip my hat to you and say congratulations, because that's what we do in Heat Nation. We'll be back. If you look at how many times we've been in the thick of things with the very short number of years that we've been a franchise, we've been there a lot, baby. We've been there a lot, so we'll be back. Congratulations to Boston. As a man who prides himself on sportsmanship, I tip my hat to you. Sunday was a tough day of basketball because you talk about photo finishes. Our head coach for the AAU program was trying to go pick up a kid and make it back from Baltimore. So long story short, I had to coach the team and try to get us to the Final Four in a very, very, very competitive Memorial Day tournament. And long story short, man, we lost on a kid. Our kid missed a free throw. We went up. It was tied. He hit the front end of a one-on-one. He missed the second shot. They had a monster on their team. Got the rebound, went the length of the floor, shot a layup to win the game. And then Sunday night, we lose on that shot. So if you emailed me, if you texted me, if you called me on Sunday, chances are I didn't respond. Because, man, that was a tough day of basketball for me with the photo finishes. But yet, like what they say, I rise. I don't know what the poem is. I rise. Yet I rise.
some I rise.
I rise. Whatever it was, I rise. That part I remember. Sorry, Maya. But I rise. Maya Angelou, I just messed up the whole poem. But yet I rise. And so, and now that I'm arisen, I can watch from a fan standpoint these finals. Game 1 last night, the Celtics are down 12 going into the fourth quarter. They go on a run of all runs and shoot the lights out. Steph Curry, I think, ties an NBA record with 6 threes made in the first quarter. but not enough. The Celtics get hot, whether it was Al Horford, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown. They just got hot. They could not miss. They went on a run that was unmatched, and they win game 1 in San Francisco. First ever NBA Finals game in San Francisco. Now they moved from Oakland. Is this sort of the sign of what's to come in this series? We knew that the Celtics were a defensive team. I didn't know that the Celtics get hot like that. They got, I'm talking about fish grease hot in the fourth quarter. We thought that Golden State was a team full of shooters, but Boston showed that they can shoot too. Or is this an outlier? To get that hot in game 1 says either one or two things. We expect that they'll be a little closer to average or normal going forward. Or is this just how they're going to shoot throughout the series? And if so, I don't know if Golden State wins because the Celtics only play one way on the defensive end. The sort of the variable that we didn't know was going to be how they shot offensively. And last night, they dotted the I's across the T's as a shooting team. And what a quite a performance the Celtics in game 1. What do you think happens with the series? I'll start with you, Big Flow Show, because something tells me the ETP is going to be a homer and say that they're going to sweep or something crazy like that. So I'll start with you, Big Flow Show. Watching game 1, what does this make you think about the series going forward?
First, let me thank Tom Herzog for busting up Maya Angelou like he had it in his pocket and giving you your poem.
I appreciate that. Let me read it. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Man, that sounded like a good Heat fan right there. I appreciate that, Tom. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man.
He's got to be more of an OKC. I don't know what kind of time you got to write that. I don't know what he did. But one of my future Northwestern parent brethren's there.
Awesome.
Tom Herzog,
Wildcats
big promoter
in the
of our
house.
show.
Appreciate you
Great.
for supporting.
Appreciate it. Just throwing it out there. We're gonna we might need you in production. Pre-production means get you know some stuff. But I digress. As we were discussing, I think that this is it's scary because you talk about how good the Celtics shot, but if you watch the first part of the game, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe how well Golden State is shooting. Steph hit 6 threes in the first quarter. I don't really think that the record should count when you lose. Like that should, damn, you would have had a record had y'all won, but y'all lost, so get up out of here. The weird thing about watching that game, and I haven't really had many games where I've had uninterrupted watch it from start to finish every second of the game in these playoffs. Normally I got to flip around or somebody asking me something. I just kept, when did this thing go bad? Like I was like, wait a minute. At one point I was about to turn it off because I thought Golden State blew them out. The next thing I know, I look up and they're within 3, and then they got blown out. So the thing is, I feel like Boston, and as much as I believe Golden State should win this thing, I'm looking at this like, okay, you're at home, you got the momentum, you're more well rested, you started off hot, and it just seems like the Celtics just kind of like figured it out and beat you. I would be really nervous if I would go to State right now.
Yeah.
To come out that well and have them just turn it on and switch it on you and beat your face at the end. Ooh, I don't know. I can't pick the series anymore. I got to go back to neutral. I know the Heat's not going to win, but besides that, I'm a little shook and I'm who's going to win.
You made a point about the adjustments that they made, and I think Ime Udoka, the coach from the Boston Celtics, in his first year, the last first-year coach to go this far and look this good was Nick Nurse with Toronto the year that they upset Golden State. So I think Golden State, Steve Kerr has an issues with these first-year coaches because there's not a lot of film on his adjustments as a head coach.
Is that a stat now? Steve Kerr has more of a first-year coach. That sounds so baseball-ish.
Hey, look, last time he lost was with Kevin Durant.
I know, but
Kevin Durant in Toronto. Nick Nurse was able to do it.
I mean,
he doesn't do well against first-year
season-ending injuries as well.
Is that a thing?
Not because Kevin Durant tore his Achilles, not because Klay Thompson went down and didn't play for
the first-year coaches.
It's because it's the first-year coaches.
Hey, all I'm saying is this. That man last night made adjustments. And it seems as though when he made his adjustments, Steve Kerr did not have a counter to his adjustments. And maybe, just maybe, Steve Kerr he don't have enough film to watch. Get him an ETP. We saw last night, I'm pretty sure you were smiling from ear to ear, as the Celtics take game 1 in San Francisco and do what a lot of people thought that they could not do. Now, BPI, the quant jocks of the world, said that there's an 86% chance that the Celtics will win based on their defensive prowess and their scoring as the season went on. So the quants have told us that the Celtics should be favored to win. But when it comes to the opinions of the people in the people's court, everyone has been saying the Golden State should win this going away. As a Celtics fan, man, you watched last night. Let's try to have two hats on. Both as a Celtics fan, I'm sure that there were some emotions and you felt good watching them being back in this position. If they win this series, they now take the lead to be the all-time winningest franchise again, back from the Lakers. And so there's a lot of stake here in terms of the franchise as well. But then let's then look at it objectively as someone who analyzes basketball, on a regular basis. What did you see, and what does it mean going forward for this series? I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, I mean, watching this game, it was Golden State did everything that they do well, right? Like Steph got crazy hot, hit threes, Celtics absorbed it, didn't break from that. They had an electric third quarter. Golden State's third quarters are always like, that's going to determine one way or the other whether they're going to break your back. And they absorbed that, and then they came back. The other thing on the Celtics side that's crazy, which might be what threw off Golden State, is they won a totally different way. They have such versatility across their entire roster that when you say the Celtics got hot, the main scorer for the Celtics, Jason Tatum, was ice cold and led the entire game in assists. So they basically adjusted and changed up the way they operated completely to totally dismantle Golden State, who they did everything that they, Steph Curry comes out, shoots the lights out. They're moving around, moving the ball, and they're pushing. So it's just showing that in reality, as we've probably seen through the entire playoffs, is the Celtics are constructed in a way where they are the most effective team on both ends of the ball. And really, the only team that can beat them is themselves. Like, they shouldn't have won 7 games with the Heat, but they'll play sloppy basketball. They'll turn the ball over. They'll be undisciplined. And then that's when other teams that are good enough can actually turn the tide and actually, come away with a victory. But if they stay disciplined like they were last night, I'm not going to say the Golden State Warriors dynasty is going to get swept, but it shows that they're going to be in a tough situation. No, I didn't bring it up. I didn't bring it up.
No one was thinking that. No. But you brought it up.
Hold on. That's not true. B. Brown mentioned that I might think that I might be talking sweep. And I'm telling you, I'm not talking sweep, because it's too good of an organization, franchise, and team.
Talk about him later.
But if they can stay disciplined in the ways that they were last night and take those punches from Golden State gave them pretty much the best they had. Yeah. And they still won by 12. And they outscored them by 24 points in the fourth quarter.
Most lopsided discrepancy in points, I think, ever in something crazy like that.
And it didn't even start the whole fourth quarter. It's like it was like the regular fourth quarter was still going Golden State's way. And then they just hit a button there.
But Golden State has no answer for Al Horford. Al Horford changes everything, because once you put bigs on the court for Golden State, their offensive prowess declines dramatically. Kevin Looney's not shooting threes. They'll leave him out there. Draymond Green's not going to give you a ton of offense. He'll hit it when he needs to, but he's not a go-to. So you got, Al Horford, the versatility as the big man that he hit as many threes as Steph Curry last night. Most in his career, 6 3-pointers. If they can stay, consistent in that way, it could be a sweep, but I just don't see it happening.
Golden State in 6.
Look, man, not only Al Horford, you got Derek White, you got a whole bunch of people that were shooting well beyond their expectations. And you said that the Celtics can only beat themselves. I think that the Miami Heat series went to 7 because they get beat by teams that can play like them. And Miami Heat was able to take them to 7 because Miami Heat, from a defensive standpoint, is just as aggressive. What Golden State's going to have to do in order to win this series is win on that side of the court. You're not going to outscore this team because defensively, they're always going to push back. I knew Golden State was in trouble when you had Steph Curry have an amazing first quarter, and yet Boston was still in the striking range. I think they were only down, 4 at the end of the first quarter? Yep. I knew they were in trouble when the Golden State Warriors had their infamous third quarter bonanza where everything was going in, and yet Boston goes into fourth quarter only down 12. That's still in striking range in the NBA. Yeah. And, anything under 20, really, you get the closer you get to 10 is basically 2-3 possessions, right? I got to score and stop you, and then 10 is we're in a nail biter at that point. Only 12 points. They were only down 12 points after the third quarter that Golden State had, and I knew that at that point it was going to take a valiant effort from Golden State in the fourth quarter to seal the deal. I didn't think that Boston would get that hot. I don't know that they're going to get that hot again in the series. Let's be honest. They haven't shot the ball like that throughout the entire playoffs.
That's not true. They shot like that against Milwaukee in a couple games.
Absolutely. Not with Derek White hitting 4 threes. Not with Al Horford hitting 6
They were hitting that many threes. And Derek White has been a monster from 3 in the last 2 games against Miami.
Every big game is saying that's his new playoff high. So the playoff high is telling you that he's never done it before. And yet,
but as a team,
they did it last night as though it was routine. And it hasn't been routine. Not shooting the ball that way. Defending, absolutely. Getting rebounds, absolutely.
We can go back to the research team.
Look, I mean, there's not a lot of NBA teams in the history of playoffs that have shot the ball like that. So I'm not trying to detract from what they did.
I'm just saying this is not something that just came out of the blue. They've been shooting, and there's been sometimes to a fault, but they've been shooting like this throughout the series. And I know in Milwaukee, I would argue, I'll look it up, but they definitely hit at least 23s in a couple games.
They've had big shooting games. What I'm saying to you is those big shooting games have featured the usual suspects. This particular crazy shooting game, from a percentage standpoint, these weren't the usual suspects making these shots. And that's how they won, right? And that's how, let's be fair, Jason Tatum had all of those assists, 13 assists or something crazy like that, is because people are making shots that they normally wouldn't make. Assist is, both the function of, I found the open guy, but he's got to make the shot. And they did it this game. And
I just don't think you were looking. I don't think you watched the Celtics play closely enough because you're making statements as if this isn't how they've played. When they're on, this is how they play. They were hitting 18, 23s against Milwaukee, and everybody was eating. Not, Derek White wasn't even getting the minutes that he was back then, but he was still hitting threes.
I am not.
But you got to pair that with the fact that Golden State only scored 16 points in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
Now, granted, obviously there's defense. You got to give some credit to that. But they started shooting real cold. Their jumpers just everything.
They were missing shots. It's a miss or make league. They were missing shots.
It's a make or miss league, and normally they're going to make 40-16 in the fourth quarter. The momentum swung so hard. I feel like if there was a fifth quarter, it would have had to even back out. I don't know. It's hard for me to call it either way. Draymond played crap. He only shot, made 2 shots. Usually he's up for a couple of big shots in the game. Steph gets cold, and the problem when Steph gets cold and he keeps, he was so hot in the beginning, he keeps shooting, keep missing, makes long rebounds, transition baskets. It's tough. 40-16 is an unbelievable fourth quarter swing. I don't know if they keep doing it, but you know what? We have a series. I subscribed to Golden State was going to beat the hell out of them, and I was wrong with that. I still think they're going to win the 6, but it's going to be a battle.
I think I agree with you there. We do have a series, but when you see Grant Williams and Peyton Pritchard, and you got names, and Marcus Smart just getting hot as he did, for your sake, because I don't have a dog in this fight. I'd like to see you happy. I'd like to see you guys win this thing. right? I don't want to hear all the Celtics propaganda about your best friend. I don't want to hear that, but at the same time, yeah, it is what it is. The Celtics fans are going to be obnoxious no matter what, whether you win or lose. But all I'm saying is I don't think you can expect them to have those type of shooting performances going forward. You can't expect them to defend. You can't expect them to play together. You can't expect them to make adjustments on the fly because they've done it throughout the playoffs. You can't expect them to put pressure on whoever your top scorer is because they've done that throughout the playoffs. And yes, they've had big shooting games, but the dispersion of the shooting last night was just amazing to me. And if this is a thing, a sign of things to come, then I say the Celtics win this series. And you know, they'll be doing the ticker taper parade down whatever street in Boston because it's tough to beat that. If you're gonna play that well defensively and then shoot on the other side that well, with all of the supporting cast, the others, as they like to say on TNT, the others showed out last night. They showed out. And with that, they can't be beaten. But a team that plays the same way, defensive, aggression, and they can spread the ball around, like Miami, is the only team, like you said, they can beat themselves. A mirror image of themselves is the only way you can beat them. And Golden State has to get more people involved. Kevon Looney has to be better, not only as a rebounder, but, you know, he's getting open layups and can't even catch the entry pass. You guys all know how I feel about Kevon Looney. He has had some big moments in this playoff year. And in the previous series, he had a two big games. You know, I mean, he had a 30-point game, which is crazy. But you have to do the bare minimum. You have to catch an entry pass and finish and stop getting your ball blocked by Jaylen Brown on a transition fast break. You can't do that as a big because that has been and continues to be the weakness for Golden State. It has been their front court. Whether or not you're going to rebound, whether or not you get second chance points, whether or not you can finish a basic entry pass, because the defense, Celtics included, has to extend when you're playing against Golden State. Your front court has to step up and make shots and be a threat. So Kevon Looney, as he goes, oddly enough, I think is as Golden State goes in this series. And we'll see what happens going forward.
What did the superstar do?
Who's the superstar? Wiggins. He did what he did.
What did he do?
Wiggins played well. Wiggins is probably, from a consistency standpoint, always gives them what they need. He's making shots that he needs to make. He's defending their best player, Jason Tatum. He was sort of out of it last night because Jason Tatum became a facilitator versus scorer. So Wiggins has no choice but to defend Jason Tatum. Wiggins was a little bit debilitated defensively because Jason Tatum became a facilitator versus scorer. But Wiggins does what he does. He's pretty consistent. And so, you know, we can argue to the cows come home whether or not that makes him a superstar or not. But, you know, having him and the older version of him, Andre Iguodala, back in the lineup was, you know, solid. They're going to be solid defensively too, but the dispersion was what got the best of them. The others stepped up and became superstars last night by the way they shot the ball with the Celtics. I'll give you guys either one.
Saturday or Sunday.
Why are you so surprised? That's how this team has been playing the whole playoffs.
When's the next game? Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday.
I don't
8
know.
o'clock.
Too many days off.
Sunday.
Well, they got to milk this thing, man. Sunday is a better day for sports when it comes to TV viewership. So NBA got to get their bag too.
They got a lot of people to pay.
They got to get their bag too. So we'll see, man. Good luck to the Celtics faithful going forward. We'll see how it plays out. I know one thing. This series officially has everyone's attention. I think it at least goes 6 either way. And because I don't have a dog in the fight, good luck to you, the Celtics. I'm not going to be a hater and root against you because we lost to you in a photo finish game 7. I'm not going to be a hater. I ain't going to do that. Although a lot of Heat fans are right now. Let's get into some boxing, man, because Gervonta Tank Davis put leather on Raleigh Romero's chin on a counter punch that ended up being a TKO in the 6th round. Raleigh Romero, when asked by the referee to take a step to the right to show that he was prepared to continue fighting, he almost tore his ACL. That's when we knew that his equilibrium was a little bit off. But after the fight, Raleigh Romero seemed to have a lot of tough talk. He had a lot of tough talk prior to. They sold wolf tickets and they sold a lot of pay-per-view. subscriptions on that fight. But Rolly Romero saying that in his mind that he won all 6 of those rounds, so there should be an instant rematch. I don't know how you say you won round 6 when you got TKO'd and your ACL
until that point, until that point.
So I think we can agree that at least he's wrong with at least one of those rounds. Let's give him 5, right? And I've seen some of the pugilist experts talk about their card, and they said that they had Rolly winning 4 of the 6. So if that's the case, is he right? Does he deserve a rematch, or is Tank Davis right? Tank Davis basically laughed at him. He gave him that side eye like, bruh, this ain't how this works. When you get knocked out, you can't call the shot. I'll get back to you. My people will get back to you.
I was willing to. If you wouldn't have knocked me out, I'd have beat you.
But Tank Davis has been notorious for starting slow. He likes to feel his opponent out before he really gets into his game plan. So does the scorecard suggest Rolly Romero gets a rematch, or is Tank Davis right in giving him the side eye? Was it a good fight, and where does Tank Davis go from here? Because I think they're running out of fights. The fight that everyone wants to see, I don't think anyone's going to see because it's too much at stake. What do you think happens from here? Should Rolly Romero get the rematch?
Go ahead. If Deontay Wilder can get a rematch against Tyson Fury after the debacle and punishment that he took after coming out dressed like Black Panther, then it's an argument to give anybody. He didn't get knocked out, but it probably would have been more respectable if he did, because the way that he got handled, and he got a rematch. So I say if
he went the distance. And some would say if he didn't have the equilibrium issue behind the ear, bleeding out of the ear, that fight would have been even better. Look, all right.
So then, if dude didn't get knocked out, then it would have been a good fight.
Had he not walked in with the 500-pound Cleopatra outfit on,
right? Yeah, but look, they said he was tired, fatigued. Rolly Romero in this episode called the photo finish. The only photo finish element of this was you wanted to see that shot to his chin over and over again. The man looked like Martin in the episode with Tommy Hearns, facing the rope, legs completely wobbled. I mean, that was a picture-perfect knockout. I don't think you could call a shot and get you a rematch right away. Matter of fact, I don't think you should talk for at least 3 weeks. You shouldn't say anything in the press for 3 weeks. Big Flo Show, do you think the man gets a rematch after getting laid out, after becoming Martin?
Not on his terms, but, let him keep running his mouth and let him keep trying to beg for a rematch. Tank goes out, gets a couple other fights or not, do whatever. You got to milk. When you get come up like that, you got to milk it in boxing, right? This is a hype game. You got to let it go, let it talk, make people go back and watch the old fight and wonder, are you telling the truth? So his job now is the hype man for the next fight. His purse is going to be small. The other guy sits there and enjoys this, but you don't run right back into the ring with a guy and give him his bet back. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that, man. You walk away for a while, enjoy it, you let it build up some hype, and make people really want to watch the fight and do it. All I saw was the highlights, but you know what? If he runs his mouth long enough and he keeps saying enough things, I might actually put my little 1995. I'm going back to the 80s prices, $295 to get the pay-per-view the next time, but. Keep running your mouth. I think it's in their both best interest to do a rematch to get the payday. But does he deserve one?
$2 million. He's trying to get paid too. I'm not mad at him. He want to get that bread.
Yeah,
he want to get that bread. But Sha'Carri Stevenson should be who Tank Davis is fighting. But Sha'Carri Stevenson, Newark, Brick City, represent. Sha'Carri Stevenson and Tank Davis are both at the prime of their careers, and this is where, and we said it on this show, right? The Ball Hog Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. The sports aspect of boxing, unparalleled. We love boxing. That is the topic du jour when it comes to barbershop talk, right? When it comes to entertainment, nothing like it, man. A good entertaining fight. It's the centerpiece, that business part of it, that makes it so much different than UFC. UFC, they want the best to be fighting the best at all times. It doesn't matter how many losses you have. Because a loss in boxing is career suicide. It's so detrimental to your overall business opportunities, a loss hurts your purse. It undermines you as a headliner on a ticket. One loss. But because of that, we are sort of cutting off our nose to spite our face. We end up missing out on so many good fights. We need to see Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson. And it's the fight that, while hypothetically it'd be good, we might rumor that it possibly could happen. It's the fight that, because of where both of those fighters are in their careers, the fight that we almost know, due to the business aspects of boxing, it's the fight that we almost know will certainly not happen. And to me, that's a shame when it comes to boxing. How many fights didn't happen because of the business? And this seems like yet another one that won't happen. So if I'm Tank Davis, yeah, let's go, Riley. Let's fight again. This time I'm going to knock you out in the fifth. Instead of your right knee buckling, I'm going to buckle your left knee. I'll get paid a cool $3 million again. You'll take $2 million or whatever the case might be. And I'll keep on holding off on the inevitable. And then when the stakes are at the highest, but yet I've been paid enough to live handsomely no matter what, then, and maybe only then, will I take a fight like Shakur Stevenson. And the boxing fans continue to miss out and lose out on what will be competitive fight. It's an interesting sport because the business undermines the competition. The business undermines what the fans want. The business of it prevents us from seeing good versus good, best versus best for so long until ultimately most of them are beyond their prime before they fight. It's a weird business, man, if you think about it. Whereas the UFC is the exact opposite. If you are even close to being one of the top fighters, they're going to put you in the ring with another goon. And you got a chance to make your career out of it and propel yourself to the next level, or, just fight the next goon that comes. But it doesn't seem to have the same business orientation that boxing has. I don't know if you guys had an opinion on it one way or another before we move on. But I feel like boxing fans miss out on a lot of good fights because of the way the business is operated.
I do think that, throughout history, we've missed fights when they are right in their primes because of how bad a loss is, especially a stoppage loss like this happened to him. It does ruin your career no longer. It's about making money. And they're probably the most overpaid athletes of all sports, if we're honest, right? Boxers, if you think about how. I mean, obviously, it would take a lot for me to get punched in my face, but a lot less than they get, right? To get punched in my face. But if you think about like a guy like a Floyd Mayweather goes in there and makes $100 million in a night, which, you take a guy like LeBron, that's 2 seasons, 2.5 seasons of money that he's got to go play for that $100 million. Up and down the court all day, all night. This dude goes out there one time.
Pound, minute for minute, hour for hour, what you're getting paid per hour. I got it.
It's ridiculous when you think about it. But like, that's the business. That's the world. We're a capitalist society. You got to figure out how to make that money. And it's the risk for both of these people. We can go on. Me and you are the 2 best fighters out. We can go on for the next 5 or 6 years and both become multi-millionaires. Or we can fight once or twice, make some big paydays, and then one of us goes off into obscurity afterwards.
Just for the record, it would be you. Just for the record.
That goes on, and then you had to chill. Okay, because these depth charges I got for you. But you know what I'm saying? You can't blame the people that are doing it, and because the governing body boxing is like non-existent. All they do is drug test and suspend. They don't really have like a league setup format where you can like force anybody to do anything. It's all exhibition by nature. It's nothing is like in some sort of a league. Yeah, I think boxing would be smart to bring something together and do like a season where people had to fight each other and make it like a tournament style. And every year you have a new one with the top 10 or 12 boxers fighting in some sort of a tournament. Every sport does that. Every sport has forced matchups and they have a champion that comes around the end. Boxing is really the only thing that has like
they've tried that. They've tried that with Al Heyman. I'll mess it up. But they've tried the tournament style. But normally what they do is they take the second and third tier guys that their names are starting to be more popular in boxing. They put those in the tournament. The top tier guys are just spending most of their career avoiding each other. ETP, I don't know if you had any final words on it, man, but the business of it seems to be undermining the competition of it, the purity of it, the attraction to it. Because, Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis ain't going to fight each other. But we all know that they probably are the two unstoppable forces that should fight each other. They'll blame it on weight class. They'll blame it on whatever they want to blame it on. But from a pound for pound standpoint, two very smart, defensive, but exciting fighters, they ain't going to fight each other. And that's because of the business. ETP, I'll give you final word before we move on.
Yeah, it's definitely because of the business. I mean, Floyd Mayweather essentially set the precedent, and we could argue and debate about it all the time, but Floyd Mayweather fought on his terms. He fought who he fought, when he wanted to fight them, how it needed to work out. So in a scenario where it is, to Big Flo's point of there being a league and being a season and being required matchups and tournament style or anything like that, maybe Floyd Mayweather doesn't go undefeated, right? But he definitely architected his career. Not saying he didn't take any good fights, or not saying that he didn't earn his victories, but they were business decisions versus let's look at this from a perspective of I want to undoubtedly be known as the best fighter right now. Like, it took 5 years to fight Pacquiao. So I'm not surprised that this is the way the business is going now. And there's not as much money to go around in boxing. So if you're at the top of the pyramid, you don't want to get knocked back down. What's that?
That's because Floyd has all of it.
And people said, hey, look, let's be fair.
And Jake Paul.
Boxing purists have said that Floyd ruined the sport because of the reality that you just described, ETP, because he set a precedent. Because
what precedent did he set?
I think
smart money, smart business. That's the precedent that he set. He's like, if I'm gonna get punched in my face, I'm gonna get the most money.
Because you know what?
Unapologetically, he was not apologetic about it. He basically said that I'm gonna fight who I want to fight based on what the purse and what the draw will be, what the pay-per-view demand will be. That's how I'm gonna pick who I'm fighting. Not some old school 1983, I'm the baddest man in the park type mentality. I'm making business decisions. He was unapologetic and very public about it. That, no, if you want to fight me, first of all, you're going to be the B side. I'm going to decide which fights I'm going to take. And it's going to be based on what this revenue stream looks like, not based on, some pissing contest.
Oscar
and he was unapologetic about it. Some say that he ruined the sport because of it.
Oscar De La Hoya didn't do that with Golden Boy Productions?
Less so.
He got into it further into his career. He didn't do that early on. Yeah, I mean, he fought.
Let's just say Mayweather.
He had
the fight that he took that Mayweather fight. He did what Mayweather never did. Gave somebody an opportunity to dethrone him at the height of his career. Mayweather never did that.
What about with Zab Judah? What was Zab in his career?
Zab was earlier in the career, but
and he was never at the height. Like
Zab wasn't ever.
He was late with Mosley.
But
Mosley, they had to match up their weight classes, right? That's another thing too. We're not giving credit to Mayweather's. He was like a super fly monkey weight, whatever you want to call it, a spider monkey weight, whatever at first, and then he got up and started to get.
I don't know what it's called. I'm certain it's not that.
It's not that. But he was so little. And then he had to kind of grow. And I think a lot of people on the street, we don't have respect for the difference 5 pounds of moving up weight classes in boxing. I mean, it's not like, you see a guy who got you by 5 pounds on the street, you're not going to say, I'm scared to fight that guy. But like in boxing, 5-10 pounds is huge,
Yeah.
And, he started off, I don't know what his weight class was, but it was a very unpopular weight class, small weight class when he started. And then he grew to be a little bit more into the mainstream, but even then, I think he was, guys had to come down to fight him.
He started in the 130s, ended up in the 150s. So I'll give you that. Over his 20-year career, there was a 20-pound delta in who he was fighting. Is that all it was? Yeah, over that time frame. So I'll give you that. But at the same time, man, even cats that he did not have to adjust the weight class, I don't want to say he avoided them. He was just very strategically from a business standpoint. That's how he navigated his career. And And he was public about it.
But can you fault this man? Okay, me and you are gonna go out there and do a debate, and I know I'm a bigger draw than you, and you're saying I'll do the draw, but we have to do it on these microphones, and we got to get even money. I'm not doing it for even money just because somebody else wants to see it.
Yeah, but it's not just what the purse was going to be or what the payday is going to be. It was also like, what's my risk in terms of long term, right? Like if I get knocked out, then that's going to hurt my money next time.
But
So
let's
he
not
was
minimize the negotiation pieces that he had. So one dude wouldn't drug test, another dude like it was a glove thing. Then it was this is all Pacquiao. It was like a drug test situation.
The drug, whether or not they were going to do Olympic style drug testing.
Drug testing. You said no to that. I'm not fighting anybody who's objecting to any drug test. I don't want to fight you. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Like yes to everything. You either are on drugs or you're not. So you don't want to do the drug test. I think they talked about the ounce of gloves too.
The weight, yeah.
The weight of the gloves. Then they're talking about the purse. Like I'm not giving on all these things just because everybody wants to see me do it because I have all the risk. I'm giving up everything to make obviously the public happy. He's already rich. You might not like Floyd Mayweather or whatever, but he's already rich and doing whatever he's got to go do. I'm not giving up risking this and risking that and have this dude come here on steroids and break my face because people say I'm
dodging. Man, I get. But here, look. And from a business standpoint, I celebrate what he was able to do. Beautiful. Brilliant. Bravo. But it's a combat sport that if I'm honest, and I look back to the mid 80s, early 90s, we celebrated the fact that guys were willing to step in the ring with anybody. Because it's a combat sport. It's like we're fighting. And for him, it was never just fighting. So from a business standpoint, beautiful. But the purists who say he messed up the sport and now has relegated us to being patient and waiting on the fight that we want to see until someone's had enough fights, let's call them business opportunities, such that they are comfortable to take the risk. They're willing to take the risk now because I've had now 4 iterations of $2 or $3 million fights. Now I'll fight you. People say that he tarnished the sport because of it. So I don't know. Interesting take.
All those people who say that love boxing on the day with those, where Don King was stealing everybody's money, and whoever was before that, and these dudes.
Larry Holmes fighting 15 rounds. Larry Holmes can't say a simple sentence now.
Yeah, so you know what? To hell with all those people, man. Hats off to Mayweather. Make your money. If he's gonna drool, it's gonna be into a diamond cup when he's loaded. If he's drooling on himself, and that's the way it should be. Everybody else,
kick rocks. Yeah. All right. Let's go home with this, man, because we started off by calling this show Photo Finish. In the Prefontaine Classic, Elaine Thompson-Herah won the 100-meter dash, but the second and third place in that same 100-meter dash, second and third place, they gave Sha'Carri Richardson second place and Shericka Jackson from Jamaica third. It came down to a photo finish. They both ran a 10.92. Elaine Thompson-Herah was out front with a 10.79. Two things. Sha'Carri Richardson, I think, proved that she's still a force to be reckoned with. She's going to be, if we have anybody dismantle what is a dynasty with the Jamaican sprinters, the women Jamaican sprinters, if anyone's going to unravel that, it's going to be Sha'Carri Richardson. No one else has a chance. So that's the first part. Shout out to Sha'Carri Richardson from bouncing back from all of the hoopla and the failed drug test after her mom died and all of that. Sha'Carri Richardson in this performance showed that she's still a force to be reckoned with. But second, it went to the card. It went to the photo finish. It went to the picture, and it looks like, if you just do a still shot, it looks like, I got to be honest, it looks like Shericka Jackson won. Now they're looking at just the torso, but in the picture that has been circulated, you can't even see Sha'Carri Richardson. All you can see is Shericka Jackson. The Jamaican track faithful, the supporters, have said that this is outrageous, that she got robbed. They went to the thousandth of a second, so I think it was 10.92, whatever the next number was better than Shericka Jackson's 10.92, whatever her next number was in the thousandth. But the picture seemed to show to me that Sha'Carri Richardson lost to Shericka Jackson. Very interesting how technology is playing a role in sports. We've seen it in basketball throughout the playoffs, how we go to these replays, and even sometimes then, because I didn't talk about that shot that was overturned, the Strus shot that was overturned in Game 7 with the Miami Heat, because I was trying not to be bitter. But it seems as though even when we go to technology, there's human error involved in it, because as a Miami Heat fan, it didn't look like his foot was on the line. It didn't look like his heel came down. As a Shericka Jackson fan, it looked like Shericka Jackson beat Sha'Carri Richardson. So even with this technology, it looks like that they're still being failed. The photo finished. We all saw the photo before the show started. Did Shericka Jackson beat her? And we just got that American bias, Sha'Carri Richardson in the Prefontaine Classic in Oregon. They just gave her the nod because old American bias. What do you guys think before we go home with our highlight reel stuff? What do you guys think about the 100-meter dash Prefontaine Classic? Did Sha'Carri Richardson get the okie doke by getting the victory, getting the second place win over Shericka Jackson, despite what the photo showed?
I think, in society, we rush to judgment nowadays on the first video, the first clip, the first picture. I need to see everything. I need to see what happened before the police showed up. I need to see what happened. I need to see what happened first. The other angle, maybe she leaned forward and she knew she had got second. She leaned back. But what I had to say is amazing is we're having a conversation about who took second and third. Isn't that weird? When's the last time you had an argument about who was the vice president?
Who was the vice?
You know what I'm saying? Like no one cared. The lady who won, we haven't even mentioned her name yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She was way out the picture. She cleared it up.
Elaine Thompson
there, but they showed you one picture.
We're starving.
Things can be doctored.
In America, we are starving to finally be considered in that conversation of the fastest when it comes to 100-meter dash.
Well, we're not.
It's been a long time, man. That's why Sha'Carri Richardson, that's why the buzz was so phenomenal prior to her failed drug test, because we were finally relevant. The Jamaicans have been dominating us for so long on the men's and women's side, but especially when it comes to the women's. I mean, they like 1 through 4. Their entire 4x1 beats our best sprinter. So Sha'Carri Richardson, I think we're starving for it. And so Jamaica, yet again, despite all the recent success and the dynasty they've had in the 100-meter dash with their women over the last several years, they still trying to take something from us. They trying to take the silver medal from Sha'Carri Richardson. So stand up, America. On the same week of Memorial Day, that's right. I'm saying that Sha'Carri Richardson won. I don't care about what the photo finish says. I don't care what my eyes see. Sha'Carri Richardson got second. ETP, final word about this photo finish in the Prefontaine Classic, man, before we move on to our highlight reels and get out of here for the day. What do you got, man?
I don't know who won, but I think it's just good to see Sha'Carri Richardson competing and like at an elite level, because when everything happened before, it was definitely questionable about the people around her, obviously her getting caught up with the cannabis, and then she had was doing all this stuff on social media, and then she got these deals, and she's young, she had endorsements, she's in the Beats commercial, so it could have gone a very different way where she just kind of faded out and wasn't able to stay disciplined and focused and compete at an elite level. So whether she's second or third, like it's just a good nod to her that she's able to get back on track and stay competing and stay focused.
And amazing that we're talking about second and third, both women being sub 11 second 100-meter runners. It's just crazy the level of speed out there. Now let's get into our highlight reels, man. You know what it is? It's the Ball Hog Sports Talk. And if you don't know what a ball hog is, that means we need to rock, baby. So each one of us, in our own way, we like to have the rock in our hand, and we do what we do when we have the rock in our hand. First, we're going to pass the rock over to my man, the Big Flow Show, for his Ball Hog highlight reel. Decide what you want to discuss for the week, whether it be sports, business, entertainment. What do you got for us, Big Flow Show?
Major change up in history. I don't know what you guys think about tradition versus progress. Just announced Notre Dame changed their fight song. They've changed the lyrics to their fight song. I think one of the most famous fight songs, I know I'm biased, but I would think one of the most famous fight songs in America. And they changed the fight song. So if you bear with me, I'm going to speak through it because my singing voice is still sleeping. But the old fight song was cheer, cheer for old Notre Dame. Wake up the echoes cheering her name. Send the volleys cheer on high. Shake down the
Down
thunder
the
from the
from the
sky.
sky.
What the
I
odds
could
be great or small? On Notre Dame will win
win
overall,
overall.
while her loyal sons go marching onward to victory.
Yes.
They've changed that. Now it ends while her loyal sons and daughters march on to victory. Is that blasphemy or is that a great time for progress? Because
Well,
you know what?
the
The women,
students had already kind of changed it. So
it's
they
official.
probably made it official. When you
It's
go to the
official.
games,
It's a tweet. They put a tweet, so it's official.
yeah, it's official now. The
So they've been saying that
students,
for a while.
yeah, they say, wow, her loyal sons. Remember, we used to put our hands up and go, sons are marching. They do sons and daughters. They were already saying this new lyric.
See, you didn't ruin my whole special.
Yeah, but to be clear,
it's official.
It wasn't official, and so I guess
Sons
progress.
and daughters march on. You know, our women's sports are actually so good to not include them. But like it's like, you know, when you talk about mankind, that's all people. It's sons. I guess it was an all boys school, so we can't try to.
It only took 50 years since they admitted women to Notre Dame for them to change the song
to recognize women.
Sons. Only 50 years.
Only 50 years.
Progress, baby.
Hey, we getting it. Notre Dame is on the forefront. We're at the bleeding edge of progress. So anyway, that's my.
That's
story.
what I'm saying. Only 50 years.
Years. I mean, what are you gonna do? Does
And
Augusta have
if
any
you don't mind, just
female
give me the quick bonus one, because I know you. That's a great story, and they changed their.
The other
lyrics,
one I was going to talk about too is Devontae Neal, coach at Idaho State. Also was at Notre Dame for 1 year and left. He was a 5-star, top 50 player out of Arizona. Came in, transferred to University of Arizona. Kind of had a little bit of trouble, bounced around, but had been in coaching for a while. He got picked up and arrested for a drive-by shooting that he allegedly did in 2017. So I don't know what kind of evidence came forward. They haven't named the victims, but he's been suspended from his position because I guess ISA has a real tough process on how to get rid of folks. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy to just see someone, you know, fall from grace that people have. I think 2012 was when he was a 5-star player at Notre Dame and moved on to play Arizona. Don't think he had much of a pro career, and now he's unfortunately, the attention, the center of a drive-by shooting.
Murder was the case. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's definitely, it's crazy how the 10-year challenge, right? 10 years ago, he was a 5-star player, and now he's behind bars for murder. I don't know.
We'll put a ledge on it, but and it's always interesting how they will work. You know, that's why I'm always leery about some of these clickbait stories. You would think that he graduated from Notre Dame based on how I clicked on that story, and he was only there for a year, transferred and played a lot at Arizona, but Notre Dame was a little more enticing to put in that headline. So it got me to click on it. ETP, we're passing the ball to you, man. Go ahead and do your thing. Highlight reels on you, my brother. What do you got for us from the sports business entertainment world? What's your choice this week?
Coco Gauff in the French Open, which is happening as we speak. The finals will be played on the women's side. Coco Gauff, 18 years old, just graduated from high school. She's 3 months older than Serena was when she first won her first major at the U.S. Open in 1999. And she has not lost one set in the singles tournament yet. So she's won straight sets from the beginning of this tournament all the way into the finals, which she'll play tomorrow against the top ranked in the world, but Polish player Iga Swiatek. But she's also playing in the doubles finals, which they have only lost one set in the entire tournament. So Coco Gauff is filling the void of American tennis since Naomi Osaka was, ousted early. Serena's, I think, probably just waiting for the U.S. Open to try to get her last Grand Slam, but obviously no shortage of talent coming through the American pipeline. So Coco Gauff is up and comer, playing for her first major.
And look, the most important thing, and I'll make sure I say it right, about Coco Gauff is that she's from Florida somewhere, I think, right? Let me make sure. Let me see. No, she's from Atlanta.
Yeah,
She lived
she
in
was
Florida
rooting for the
at one point.
Heat.
She's trying to claim.
She
Haitian,
drove
I
through
know that.
Florida a few times, so we gonna
I
claim
know
her.
she's Haitian.
Anyway, but Coco Golf, man. Shout out to Coco. Let's go, Coco. Let's go, Coco. You can mess around and make me watch some tennis. I'll pass it to myself, man. My Ball Hawk highlight reel story of the week from Sports Business Entertainment comes from the NFL, and unfortunately, it's tragic. We refer to the NFL when I had my little cup of coffee in the NFL. Played, well, that's what we call it. We played very briefly. We said the NFL stood for not for long. The average career of any NFL player is less than 3 years. So that was a reference to the short careers that we have as players. And this week, not for long, really hits home. You had two tragic stories. The first one is young man Jeff Gladney, who was the first-round pick for the Minnesota Vikings. He was currently playing for the Arizona Cardinals. 25 years old. He died in a car accident. And then the second story was yesterday, 2 days ago, in Texas. They found someone unresponsive in their Frisco apartment, and that someone who was dead, had been dead for at least a couple of days, was Marion Barber. Marion the Barbarian, as they used to call him, because of his rough running style when he played for the Dallas Cowboys. Did his college career in Minnesota, was from Minnesota, but had gone on after playing with the Cowboys. I think he had 1 year with maybe the Bears. But since his career, has been arrested at least twice and erratic behaviors. People said CTE-like behaviors. So I don't know what happened to him in his apartment. Normally, when there's so little information, one would assume that it was a suicide. I don't want to make that assumption, but I do want to say at the end, both to take a very brief moment of silence for both families and the tragic loss that they had, and the NFL for the tragic loss of both of those members of that fraternity, which is the NFL. But the not for long is also, we think of it from a career standpoint, but as football players, we are taught to feel invincible. You need to feel invincible. It's me versus you, mano a mano, I've got to win. There's an element of invincibility that comes with that. And I think that while we appreciate the not for long and being very vulnerable with our careers in the NFL, I think that as players, as personalities, as people, as community members, we have to appreciate that life itself is not for long. And so to live life a little more carefully and embrace the vulnerability that we do have. We are not invincible. And death is real, and death is final. So we'll take a brief moment of silence, man, for both of those gentlemen and their families, and for the NFL family, with the two tragic losses of Jeff Gladney and Marion Barber. You don't come back from that, man. So I hate to end the show on a somber note, but at the same time, I wanted to pay respects to both of their families, and also let this be a warning call for a lot of athletes that on the field of play, within those lines, you feel invincible. But the truth of the matter is, we all gonna die one day, man. So protect your life and cherish it. Live a way such that we respect all of the threats and dangers out there of the world. And I hope that the NFL continues to build programming to support their players, both while playing and after they are done. Because not for long is true, not only about our NFL careers, but our lives. So protect one another, remain a brotherhood. I will pray for those two families, pray for those two souls, and may all of us continue to recognize just how vulnerable and how short life is. With that, we thank you. We ask everybody kindly, please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know, and please subscribe to both our YouTube channel and to the podcast. This week's episode, entitled Photo Finish. We talked about some close finishes. We talked about a lot of things that happen in sports business and entertainment, but most importantly, we did it in a way that we always do it. Rough, rugged, and raw, where sports, business, entertainment collide. I'm your boy, B Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. The Ball Hog, a.k.a. The Mouth of the South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration, a.k.a. Breezy. I was joined by the crew, ETP, Els the producer, and from the Windy City, The Big Flow Show. Thank you guys for supporting. Continue to support. We'll see you next Friday. And make sure that you share this. With that, we is out. Peace.